Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Björn Hugosson, working for the city of Stockholm. We have a program called Clean Vehicles in Stockholm that has been running for 15 years. We've been focusing a lot on cars and buses, but now it is the time to focus more on the heavy-duty transport. So Clean Truck means clean and energy-efficient trucks for urban goods distribution. It's a local project in Stockholm. We have a budget of 3.5 million euros with a 4-year project. We're coordinating this effort, and together with 2 fuel suppliers called OKQ8 and Aga Gas. First, a quick look at the climate action program and the results from the city of Stockholm. We see when we calculate the emission of CO2 equivalents per capita, we see a clear decrease since 1990. We are now just below 4 tons per capita. And the main reason for this is investments in the heating sector with biofuels and incinerated waste in district heating systems. There is also a relatively high share of public transport, and as Mr. Mäkelä pointed out, there has been efforts in transforming the bus fleet to biofuels. So now the inner city buses run on biofuels. There is also cogeneration techniques that gives a greener electricity mix. There is a political decision to be fossil fuel free by 2050, and we're now working on the action program to get beyond the 3 tons of 2015. This climate action program was one of the reasons for Stockholm being selected the first European Green Capital this year, and of course we're very excited about this. There will be lots of seminars and study visits arranged around this, and numerous events during this year. But of course there are big challenges ahead of us, and one is the transport sector. This is a picture showing the emissions of CO2 from road transport in EU. And as you see, the emissions of cars is leveling out and expected to decrease, whereas the emissions of trucks is increasing with the economic growth. And we believe it's necessary for society to take some kind of action and do what is possible to work with the emissions of heavy-duty transport. It's also relevant on the local level with air pollution, where the trucks accounts for about half of the negative impact of transport. So, starting from that, we have designed a project called Clean Truck, and the main idea is to use the experiences we have from clean cars and buses to demonstrate a fleet or several fleets of totaling 80 trucks using 3 different technologies, and also the corresponding infrastructure that is used. There are 2 biofuels, biomethane and bioethanol, that will be used in these trucks. These 2 fuels are already existing on the market, but not the fuel stations that is suitable for distribution traffic is not there yet. And by doing so, we plan to reach out to the drivers and to the fleets to raise awareness and to stimulate the market. So the whole idea is that from this starting point, we hope that there will be a self-sustaining market for clean trucks after the end of the project. Of course, this calls for cooperation. So we have, apart from the 2 fuel suppliers, we also have letter of intent from the vehicle suppliers. We will create an interest group with hauliers and transport companies that will purchase these trucks, and they will apply for funding through the project to make the investments easier to take. We have a national co-financing, and there are also networks of hauliers and transport companies that we will work through. This is a few figures about the project. I mentioned the 80 trucks, and apart from that, there are also other technologies that will be demonstrated, like liquid CO2 used for refrigeration. Many of these trucks transport food to restaurants and shops. And today the refrigeration is made with diesel aggregates. So we will replace these with liquid CO2 instead. There will be nitrogen stations to inflate tires to reduce the fuel consumption. There will be driver training, heavy eco-driving, environmental awareness training of drivers. As for the environmental impacts, we use biofuels that give an LCA reduction of CO2 with 85%. And the project as a whole reduces CO2 with 1,500 tons per year. We will use different channels to reach out, mainly locally to reach the persons in charge of procuring new trucks, because the main target groups are drivers and fleet owners. But we will also reach an international audience, providing study visits for the different sites. We work with media and different European networks. And you see there has been a couple of news articles already.